What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Black Couch, and today we have a special episode. Before I go any further, I would like to thank Dave Pendergrass and the Free Thinkers team, and you're listening not only to the Black Couch, but hashtag Free Thinkers. All right, so today we're bringing you an interview with Dr. Wes Bellamy. Yes, Dr. Wes Bellamy. I told you it was going to be special. So he is a counsel from Charlottesville, Virginia. And he actually explains, and not really in detail, but he explains what the situation really happened in there. So I had the pleasure of meeting him a year ago at South Carolina State, which we're both Bulldogs, proud alum. At South Carolina State during the 50th commemoration of the Orangeburg Massacre. He was one of the panelists that spoke for that event, and he presented a strong argument and a strong pledge to the people to help us reflect and realize what are we willing to sacrifice for the greater good and greater cause of our people, of not just our people, but for the community that we live in. And I really enjoyed his stance. I really enjoy what he's doing in the community, and that's one of the things that we like to see in the Black House. That's one thing we like to see in our community. Someone that is representing us, somebody that's representing community and just empowerment. You know, that's the good thing that we like to see. And here's just a snippet of what he talked about at the 50th commemoration.
I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everyone here will cry out, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black, and I'm beautiful. And those are words from the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King, stated in times similar to in which the young brothers sacrificed their lives for us to be here today. And in their fight for what was then known as equality, they gave something that was more precious than what many could ever fathom giving, their lives. So today I want to ask you, what are you willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the progression of all people today?
There you go, Dr. Wes Bellamy, very impactful leader. And he's actually, like I said, he's actually doing the work. In this interview that's coming up, he explains his book, Monumental. He also explains that he wrote the book to clear up the misconceptions of what people saw, with the statues and all that good stuff. So, man, stay tuned, listen to the full interview, listen to what he has to say, because he have definitely great insight and he knows the stuff. So again, before I bring you the interview, if you would like to connect to the Black Couch via social media, you have Instagram, _black_couch. And we're also on Facebook. Remember, this is brought to you by hashtag Free Thinkers. So to our Millennial FM listeners, we appreciate you guys for listening. And continue to listen. Connect with us, Black Couch, again on Instagram and Facebook. Also, you can visit our website, which will bring you to the other episodes. That's blackcouch.org. So you can definitely check us out. Check out all the other episodes. I know it have to be about 50 or 60 episodes that's passed. So check out the other episodes on the Black Couch, and you kind of see what the Black Couch is really about. But so thanks again to Millennial FM, hashtag Free Thinkers, and the Black Couch community for supporting us. And without further ado, I present to you the interview with Dave Pendergrass, hashtag Free Thinkers, and Dr. Wes Bellamy.
I'm really excited because I'm here with Councilman Dr. Wes Bellamy from Charlottesville, Virginia.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Great.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely. I appreciate you coming and joining us, man. We actually serve a millennial base. These are a lot of us are there. It's not just minorities, but it's a lot of millennials. And the way things are evolving here in Columbia, South Carolina, they're just things that, you know what I mean? We love to hear voices, man. From outside, especially strong black male voices. To be honest with you, my generation, the people I serve, there's not a lot of, you know what I'm saying, strong black voices we get to hear from. Yeah. We're thankful for Abrams and everyone like that. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have enough of us. Yeah. Just to be honest with you. I agree. Yeah. There's some low voices. Some low voices power.
Some different octaves. Yeah.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly. We're going to talk about your amazing book here.
Thank you, man. So it's my debut work, Monumental. It was never about a statue. Essentially, it's a memoir which describes the year before the white supremacist attacks in Charlottesville, Virginia, and then what transpired the year after. So I think a lot of people often think that what they saw on August 12th of 2017, an event in which we saw a young woman lose her life, rest in peace to Heather Heyer, and we saw white supremacists with guns and torches and everything else actually parade on a city and try and quote unquote reclaim it or make it seem as if it's theirs. And there's been a lot of misconceptions that this was about the city council decision to remove the statue of Robert E. Lee, and that's not what it's about. In my personal opinion, as the individual, for better or worse, who's often blamed for getting everything started, I think that this is about an awakening of a city, but also just what happens when a community decides to stand up to white supremacy and how relevant and prevalent white supremacy still is in many of our communities. So I just wrote some stuff that happened behind the scenes. Again, people often think that some people, I see on social media now, all of this is my fault and so forth, but just letting people hear my perspective and how it started and what it was like being there on that day and then what's transpired in the year after.
Cool. So what do you think has kept, because, if you travel a bit, white supremacy is morphed in some places, but in some places it seems like it's more in front than other places. Yeah. Well, what do you think made Charlottesville the type of place that people could be so vocal and so in front about?
Yeah, well, I think it's the perfect storm of sorts. So you have a black vice mayor at the time, because I was serving as vice mayor. I'm the youngest person ever elected, only the seventh black, and I'm extremely vocal. In a community in which is not really accustomed to black men or African Americans, for that matter, being vocal in regards to equity, talking about the things that need to change. So then you have that component of it. You also are faced with the rise of racist rhetoric from 45 in the Oval Office. And then these individuals believing a lot of the racist rhetoric that was being stated. And then that empowers them and emboldens them to try and do things in which we haven't seen since maybe the 40s or the 50s. Subsequently, when you couple those two issues with the fact that these white supremacists were intent on trying to send me a message, and I wasn't backing down. And then we saw a community continue to rally and rise around us, and they too were not going to back down. I think all of that went into these individuals believing in which they had a fundamental right to come to a city and a state in which it's theirs. We have to keep in mind, Virginia is the capital of the Confederacy. Right. Literally, the capital of the Confederacy was in Virginia, but the actual capital was an hour away from Charlottesville in Richmond, Virginia. We're also a place in which is we're only 19% African American in the city and about 10% African American in the county. We're home of the University of Virginia. We're a place in which you see white people believe in which they are the superior group. So now when people decide to challenge that, and even when we have other white people who join in this fight for equity, that made a lot of people upset. And it was just, again, one of those situations in which it was a storm and people decided to come together to try to do something very evil, and what they meant for bad, God meant for good. Because I believe that our city has been ground zero for the awakening, and we've awakened a lot of people in regards to how real this white supremacy and racism still is, but also just how we can make good come out of a bad situation.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of us, some of us are third person as far as how we saw the more the more violent parts of racism. You know what I'm saying? The real actual prejudices being acted out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so, what is there? Are there things in this book, or are there things that you would say to a person who feels like they're that you would say to a person who basically is coming up in a generation where maybe my parents dealt with it, but I didn't.
Yeah, so I mean, there isn't a week that doesn't go by in which I don't get hate mail sent to my house. There isn't 48-hour span that doesn't go by in which I'm not called the N-word on social media. We've had bomb threats at my daughter's schools. We've had death threats at our homes. We've had literally, they try to attack our livelihood. Any and every kind of scenario in which you can think we've had to deal with. But we've still been able to stand tall. We've still been able to galvanize a community, a city, and we've been an example for a nation that hate won't win. So, sometimes when people see these things from the outside looking in, and they're like, oh, well, that's just, man, those people in Virginia are crazy. But, I mean, I've literally traveled the world this past year, and this white supremacist ideology is not regulated to just the Commonwealth of Virginia. Maybe our city, it was a lot more open, and we've seen it. But if you look in some of the covert systemic policies that still exist here in our nation, in cities and states throughout the country, you see racism is still alive and well. When you look at globally, these fascist groups have rose to power, and they're in elected offices across the world. You see white supremacy and racism still exists. When you look at someone like 45 who can say the most racist and degrading things that you can think of, and he's elected to the highest office in the land, racism still exists.
Absolutely. What's the next steps? Like, what are the solutions in economics?
So I think there's a variety of different things in which we can continue to do. In Charlottesville, a lot of people talk about us in the effort to remove the statue. That was just one component of it, but we also got a $4.5 million equity package passed. I presented it in 2017, in which we had $2.5 million to affordable housing and public housing redevelopment, a $50,000 grant for anybody who lives in public housing to go get a free GED. Anybody who lives in public housing to partner and go to the local community college. We had job training programs within it. There was a position for Black male achievement within it. $950,000 for our African American Heritage Center. And I think it's a reallocation of resources is what it's going to take to move us in the right direction. Some people say to me, a lot of these things are symbolic. Moving a statue is symbolic. Just this past week, we voted to change the name. One of our main streets, Preston Avenue, which was named after Colonel Thomas Preston, who was a Confederate general, we changed it from his name to after a woman named Miss Azalee Preston, who was a philanthropist and a Black educator in our community. And it was a symbolic change, but symbols matter. But symbols plus substance equal change, and you can't have one without the other. So I encourage communities across the globe to look at how can they develop equity packages? How can they look to boost economics for minority communities? I'll be presenting legislation next week in which we're creating a business equity fund, which will be $125,000 back from the city for loans specifically for minority businesses. And I think it's bold and progressive measures as such that's going to move us to get to where we need to be. But elected officials have to be willing to exude their political capital and not worry about the backlash. And then we need people to stand with those folks when they decide to stand up.
Absolutely. And that is why we say research your interest before you research your candidate.
I would agree.
You have to know what you want them to. You have to know what you want from them before you know who's going to give it to you.
I agree.
And everything that you're saying right now is that's the big scuffle right now. Right now, it's like a lot of people want to take the straight social view and want to ignore the economic factors.
Yeah, but you can't.
Exactly.
You can't. I mean, we can protest and we can march, and I'm an activist at heart. I'm the co-founder of a group called the Black Millennial Political Convention, in which we brought roughly 250 Black millennials from across the country to DC earlier this year. I serve as the co-chair of the Young Elected Official Network Black Caucus. I'm the public policy chair for the 100 Black Men of America. Protesting, advocacy, that's my thing, but none of it is going to matter if we cannot look to influence and change policy. None of it is going to matter if we cannot look to influence and redistribute resources. So, the protesting is specifically to bring awareness. And Dr. King, and there are, numerous examples. You protest, you march to bring awareness to the situation, and then you use your power and your resources to change the policy. You can't have one without the other. The symbols matter, but the policy matters just as much.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let that simmer right there. I'm gonna let that simmer in the minds of every single one of y'all watching, because a lot of you have been pushing very hard on the economic side, and we thank you for that.
Yeah.
And some of you have been pushing really hard on the social side, especially a lot of us millennials, because we ain't got money.
Yeah. Well, and you need both. But the millennials, we didn't create this. If this wasn't a kid-friendly show, I would use other words, but we didn't create this mess. Right. But yet we find ourselves having to figure out how to get out of it, and having to get the community in and get our cities out of it. And I believe that we have the wherewithal to do so. We just have to be creative in how we do it. So are we looking at utilizing bonds within our communities? Are we looking at group and cooperative economics? Are we looking at bold and progressive policies that are going to address everyone while maintaining the social peace that's needed in order for us to also get what we deserve, and that's equity? So, it's complicated and every community is different, but I just hope that we will commit ourselves to doing something. If we're going to fight to remove symbols, let's do that. If we're going to fight to do substance, let's do that. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Let's do both.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Dr. Wes Bellamy, I'm sorry. Before you get where can we get your book?
Oh, yeah, you can get the book on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. It's literally, order it. It's in a ton of different bookstores. I honestly didn't think that many people want to buy the book. I'm happy to announce we moved up into the top 500 bestsellers. So, it's been going well. I thought that maybe only, 50 or 100 people would even read the book, but now we're in the midst of an 11-city book tour. So things have been going well. You can get it again on Amazon. You can get the hardcover on Barnes & Nobles. You can get it on my website, westbellamyofficial.com. And anywhere your books are stores, man, go request it.
Any audio yet?
Audiobook it's been recorded. Yeah, I didn't even get started on that. So Audible.
Okay.
Audible, man, is the place in which where you go and get your books. They are a very tricky group of people. I would say our audiobook has been finished since December. Wow. It is February and it's still not up yet, but that's neither here nor there. The audiobook will be available soon. Follow me on Instagram at dr.wesbellamy, WESBELLAMY. On Twitter, same thing. Dr. Wes Bellamy, Facebook, Wes Bellamy, and I update. I'm a millennial. I'm on social media all the time. You got a question, send me a DM, hit me up. You see my Instagram stories. I pretty much put everything I do day to day. You follow me, you'll see the behind the scenes of writing policy and working with kids and whatnot. So, yeah.
Very good. And when that audiobook's ready, you send us a DM, and we're gonna send it off to everybody who ain't following.
Yeah, but reading is fundamental too, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.